Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School, Alan Dershowitz, joins me. Nice to talk to you, sir. And tell me, does Harvard foster an anti-Semitic environment, or is it simply that anti-Semitism is so wildly around us that it's there too?
Both. There are two schools at Harvard: the School of Divinity, in the name of Jesus. They preach anti-Semitism in the School of Divinity, and the School of Public Health. And then there are other departments, Middle East Studies and others, that encourage anti-Semitism, foment it. The university itself has reduced the number of Jewish students. When I was a professor there 12 years ago, it was about 25%. That was when it was based on meritocracy, on exam grades, on LSAT grades. Now it's somewhere between 5 and 7%. I'll give you a personal example. I've been an emeritus professor for 12 years. I was probably the most popular professor at Harvard Law School during the years I taught. I have never once been invited back to speak about Israel. Once, when a Jewish organization, Chabad, invited me to speak about Israel, they had to take the speech off campus for fear that my life would be endangered by Harvard students and faculty who didn't like what I was going to say, favoring a two-state solution, a moderate position on Israel. So I would say that Harvard has been a major factor in promoting anti-Semitism, not only today, but in the future. Because when you look at what a country will look at like 20 years from now, you look at its student body. If you wanted to know what Germany would look like in the 1940s, look at what German universities were like in the 1930s. And if you look at Harvard, it is a very, very bleak picture for how anti-Semitism will look. Look, there are factors outside of Harvard as well. The First Lady of New York, the wife of the mayor of New York, supports terrorism against Jews, supports violence against Jews. And so it's not surprising that there are these atmospheres of anti-Semitism. But Harvard is a central player, and it has to do much more. And I applaud the Trump administration for putting pressure on Harvard and Columbia and on other schools. I don't want them to interfere with academic freedom, but academic freedom doesn't include the right of bigoted professors to discriminate against Jewish students in classroom, in grading, in evaluations. And so there's a real problem.
And especially on a taxpayer dollar with subsidies. I mean, but let me ask you this. You said that went from 25% where you're teaching Jewish population, I think you said in the law school, down to 5%. How do they know? I mean, obviously some names appear to be Jewish names, but I mean, they don't ask on the application, what's your faith, do they?
You know, it's like what Justice Stewart said about pornography. You know it when you see it. When you realize how many fewer students now go to Hillel, go to Chabad than used to back in the day. Names alone don't do it, and there are obviously many factors, but I think every sentient human being knows that Harvard has reduced the number of Jewish students considerably. They did it in the 1920s as well. They had a quota, but the quota was 10%. Now it's lower than 10%. And so you know it when you see it. And anybody who doesn't think that there was a deliberate effort to reduce the number of students, the number of Jewish faculty, the number of Jewish administrators, is blinking reality. It's absolutely true. And this lawsuit will bring it out. Remember, Harvard already lost a lawsuit. When there was deposition and discovery, they tried to deny all these things. The dean of admissions is a great guy. He's a friend of mine. I like him very much. It's not his fault. This is a university-wide problem. The president of Harvard is a wonderful man, a Jewish guy, a committed Zionist, all of this. But institutions take over. And particularly these departments, these newfangled departments, the Black Studies Department, Feminist Studies Department, Gay Studies Departments, Middle East Studies Departments, they all become advocacy centers for their particular group. And they foment anti-Semitism, they foment anti-Catholicism, and they foment ultimately anti-Americanism.
Professor Alan Dershowitz, well, everybody will get his day in court. I think that, Harvard's going to get its day in court and probably won't like it too well. Anyway, thank you, sir, for joining.
If they call me as a witness, I would be happy to testify to the truth about Harvard, and I know the truth. I've been connected to Harvard for 60 years, so let them call me as a witness.
Harvard won't call you, but maybe the Trump administration will. Anyway, thank you, sir. Coming up.